Hello, everybody, and welcome to sort of SteakDora the Explorers. The Dora part of that isn't here. Instead, I have resident ogre Khalerick.
Hey, everybody.
And this is week 8. I keep messing up the titling. I've done it 3 weeks in a row now, where I've written the wrong week title. So you know, I think I got it right this week. Anyway, we're reviewing week 8. But yeah, this is week 8. It's even numbered week, so we'll be looking at like how the teams have changed and stuff. And there have been some changes, as I found out about 30 seconds ago. Yeah, so you ideally will follow usual format. We might try to go a bit faster, and I also have to make notes because normally SteakDora does that for me. So feel free, or sorry, I apologize in advance if things are a little different than normal. But
so, am I representing SteakDora?
Yes,
vote?
yeah, you can do whatever you want with that, by the way.
Oh, so I can
if you want to, you are, for all intents and purposes, you are him today. So if you want to try hard and see if you can give him even more of a lead over me than he currently has, or if you want to like just torpedo his score, you're welcome to do whatever you want.
How big is the lead?
Pretty big. He's got 19 and I've got 5 right now. It's not going well for me.
So I gotta go hard to like.
I predicted while really tipsy one week, and that was a bad idea because I just wanted to be contradictory, I guess, and ended up really far behind, and I haven't recovered from it since.
I'll try to help you out.
Well, up to you. I'll bring up the screen now. I think I have this right, at least roughly. There we go. Here's our rebel.net. We've got our spinny logo, and we've got our ogre, as well as me. And we can take a look at what happened in week 8 in Div 1. Yeah. Fancy. You can thank everybody but me for all of this, because I have done precisely none of this. Like the logo, the video, the like spinny logo. The only thing that I've accomplished are like the little camera frames. Everything else has been done by somebody more talented than me. That's true. So first we had Mongoose is Loose and Horny Cricket, which is Bull Canoe or Volcano, take your pick. And the Necronomics. I think is this the first one from Horny Cricket this, like, after having replaced, or was that last week? Second.
Second, because I played him first.
Good good for you, I guess. Good entry. So it's worth noting that once again I did something stupid for some reason and predicted that Horny Cricket would win. And SteakDora predicted that Mongoose is Loose was going to win. So, you know, good start for me.
Yeah. I actually I casted this game, and the claw palm came into effect pretty hard. And yeah, it's just you know, it's one of those games where Chorfs kind of get on the roll. And
like any sort of claw palmy team, you know, Nurgle, Chaos, Chorfs, anybody who has a lot of potential removal can snowball super hard. Like if you get one or like a couple removals, it lets you get better blocks, and then you can get more removals, and then you can get more fouls, and then more removals, and it's pretty easy to snowball.
There was here's a good example is turn 1. So Horny got the offense, which is great, but then he got blitzed. So then Mongoose based up the entire line. So then Horny lost all momentum to start with, and then he blitzed in with was it Cheney? Left Cheney base, so then Cheney gets removed on turn 1. Oh god, nice Mongoose's turn, or Mongoose, yeah, and it just kind of went downhill.
Yeah, the big news in this game is Hate My Hair, a Rebel legend, in both like actual levels and someone who's like a player who a lot of old school people would remember pretty well. He's dead now.
Yeah, he's passed.
Yep.
He passed away.
Horny Soul leveled in this game with the MVP to ensure that he still has a Legend Wolf available.
Yeah, I know what he has too. I think it's 5 agility. I think he has another agility.
That's what we need.
Yeah, which means we had 2 5 agility wolves.
That's what you want. Great. I'm glad I have played both of them already. Well, I mean, I played the person that Horny Cricket replaced, so I don't have to play Horny Cricket. Yeah.
Oh, Tessa.
Yeah. So a lot of you can see that
Yeah.
in sort of the blocks and similar number of blocks, but like 22 armor breaks, 9 KOs, 3 Kaz, the death, like you said, snowballed relatively early and pretty easy to either defend or just score when your opponent doesn't have much on the field, frankly.
Yeah. And it was just a loss of momentum on that turn 1 that really chewed him up.
And we had Rowdy Rebel Rousers from Atomics and the Murdery Space Elf Troop from Motley. They tied, so no points to either side there, but for the record, we had predicted that the Dark Elves would take this. I don't know why we predicted that. Every week, I'm always surprised at my own predictions. I'm like, why did I say that? And then, that's probably why I have no points.
I mean, I haven't even looked at this Dark Elf team like all season. I have no idea.
Well, they've got more guard than most of the Nurgle teams in the division. 2 edgy 5 elves. There's some pretty serious elves in this team. It was 1-1. Let's see, 44 blocks, 50 blocks. The Dark Elves performed through a lot of blocks at the Nurgle.
That's unusual. That's
Nurgle getting
unusual.
4 Kaz, 3 KOs. The Dark Elves getting 3 KOs and 2 Kaz. And keeping up with the removals, it seems. Although with those 2 Kaz, there's only 1 displayed here, implying that regen worked at some point. And a massive bench on regen means that the Nurgle will probably never actually down players. And the death is just a rotter, so who cares?
Well, there's a worse
it's a dead blitzer. At least he's a rookie blitzer. If you had to pick a blitzer on this team and say kill one of them, you're like,
Keanu Reaver for sure.
You could have gotten off worse, or you could have been worse against a Nurgle team as the Dark Elves. But yeah, I wonder what happened here. I mean, the Beast of Nurgle got a Kaz, the 2 Nurgle Warriors got a Kaz, Pestigor got a Kaz. I mean
that Beast is pretty nice.
Yeah, the Pro is interesting.
Pro block?
Yeah, he rolled a second doubles and then asked like the Nurgle Discord, like, dear God, what do I do with second doubles? And there was a bit of a discussion. I was an advocate for dodge because Blodge Firm Guard, once you get to that point on the Beast, is insane. But he likes the Pro just to try to like cancel a lot of the really stupids.
Yeah, I like that Pro pick. I think Pro's underrated.
Yeah, there's a big. Well, the other thing is that level was double 5s, so that could have been movement too. So it was a discussion, but we just need to look at the results now. We can talk about the teams a bit later. That's fine. Yeah, some more could have gotten out worse in terms of the damage that the Dark Elves took, but with the Agi and guard pieces around, it's generally pretty easy to get a touchdown versus Nurgle with the Agi. So 1-1. Unsurprisingly, one of the Kazas came from that human blitzer witch elf. Palm tackle, dauntless block witch elf. But 1-1, which is a little unsurprising. We expected the Dark Elves to win, probably in the back of their guard and sort of Agi advantage, but I guess enough of damage to prevent that.
They get a wizard.
They probably did. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I don't know how it's calculating TV.
It should be doing it correctly. I saw those playoff percents, Big Chuck, and I'm very sad that mine is 0 now. But I guess to be fair, I should have expected that, and it means I can kind of.
Not even like a small
0.
decimal.
Although it says I have a Challengers Cup percentage, which is awkward because there's no Challengers Cup in Div 1, right?
Oh, there's not. Oh, for that's right.
And then we had you and Locus in the All Stars of Chaos. So what was the prediction? We both predicted that you would win, so we were both wrong. Yeah.
Really?
Once again, every week I'm surprised by my own ineptitude. So why don't you talk us through it? Well, I mean, a lot of injuries here. Wow. Why don't you talk us through it?
Honestly, it came down to one turn. So there was I scored fast and I let him score. So it was 1-1 going into the second half. And then I had a nice wizard target. So the ball carrier is pretty much isolated from the rest of his team. So I could bolt him and then get my team to the ball and surround him from the opposite side. Instead, the wizard failed. And then the guy with sure hands, 1 in 36 to his GFI, and then took an MNG on the grass.
So he was on offense first, and then the goal was to go to half 2-1-1, and then you use your wizard to turn over and score in the second half.
Yeah, so like I ended up scoring. Well, I was on offense first. I tried to score at eight turns, but the problem with chaos is they can put pressure on you pretty well because they just start killing everything. Yeah. So I had to score faster than I like to, and when that happens, I just let them score because like I don't want to be in the. If you, what I found out, at least as Bretonians, is if you stand in their way for like 4 turns, most times you're not going to stop them. You're just going to lose.
I mean, there's a lot of money blown.
So I figured I'll let him score. Second half, go for the bolt, the wizard, and it just didn't pan out. So, happens. My wizards this season.
I had a season. I kept track for about 2 seasons where I failed 8 wizards in a row, which was pretty, which was pretty great. But they've gotten better. But that's
like a fever dream.
And I mean, nightmare. I say in a row. It wasn't like 8 games. It was over the course of like 2 seasons because you'd only get a wizard sometimes, and but no, I know what you mean. Like, there's a lot of mighty blow, and you have a lot of armor 7 on the peasants, so it can be kind of scary getting them in the way. But I'm super familiar with the Nurgle / chaos like anti-stall plan of I will just, if you don't want to score, I will just kill you until you do score, rather than trying to stop you from stalling. So I get that.
And I misplayed my offense a little bit, so that's kind of why I ended up scoring faster.
Then we had Arkangel's Will versus Felwith's Quadadal, which is Arkangel and Not for Science. Once again, we're really bad having predicted the High Elves here, although I think that was probably a fair prediction. Having watched some of this game, things went well for Arkangel, to say the least. I watched the first half and then had to go to bed, but there were like multiple blitzes and Fel was.
So was it dicing on both sides of those halves? Because it was a dice.
Well, I mean, there was Arkangel got a blitz in the second half after he had already scored because Not for Science could not pick up the ball like to save their life. He rolled a lot of ones, frankly.
He rolled a lot of ones last week too.
Yeah, it's hard to call it. It's not necessarily that Arkangel got really lucky. It's probably more that Not for Science got unlucky. And then Arkangel just took advantage of that because you should, and that's what you do as elves. But Arkangel and Chad admitting dice were involved. It was really funny to watch. Frankly, my favorite part of it was that Arkangel is one of the lowest TVs in the div, and Not for Science was very, very high. And so Arkangel had like 2 bribes and a wizard. Both bribes were like the first foul Arkangel did, no result, send off, bribe used. Second foul, no result, send off, bribe used. Then he used the wizard 1. It's like nice inducements. All of them did nothing. All of them did nothing. Theoretically the bribe did something because it stopped the guy from getting sent off, but he burned through both bribes in 2 fouls, which is kind of not what you want. But yeah, it was interesting. It was fun to watch. There was a lot of cool little moments, and Arkangel streamed it. I would recommend checking it out. If not for the weird dice, but also for he was pretty good at explaining why he was doing certain things, and it was fun to see. Like, oh, if I leave this guy here, that could give him a chain push to put this guy in like scoring range. So, and then he like went through and calculated where he needed to put guys to fix it, and it was entertaining to watch.
And the thing about these REL 1 games, or even the top tier games, is like your opponents are good, so you have to plan ahead. So like when Arkangel's talking about those moves, it's like it's elevating his play because he knows his opponent is like so good. And I agree that Ark is really good at explaining like everything he does, almost too much. Because I don't play Elves, so I'm like, I don't even know what the hell's going on.
I'm in Div 1, so I don't know if it's fair to say everyone in Div 1 is good.
What? Well, your team is like kind of obliterated.
That's true. It was. It's better now. At the start of the season, it was really rough.
Like a bashed up bash team. surrounded by healthy
getting
teams.
inducements versus the elf teams was terrible, frankly. Like going up against Arkangel's team with inducements when he has 4 players on the team was probably one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like, here's your team of loners and 4 elves. By the way, you're also giving away inducements to these Nurgle. Like, what? I did.
Did
yeah.
you win that
it's
game?
the only game I've won this season. Anyway, yeah. Now we have the Voltrex Vanguard and Ars Gotia. It's Ramaset and Zeta playing Ramaset this week, actually. Let's see. We predicted the High Elves would take this, and we were right. Good job, us. You did it.
Finally. Yep. Happy I could help. Oh wait, no, I'm supposed to.
This was SteakDora picking last week. You just get to be excited about his picks.
Yeah, I'm spiritually.
Ramaset taking it 2-1. Yeah. Wow, a lot of blocks and not a lot of. Oh, sorry, I read that backwards. A lot of blocks from Zeta, not a lot of armor breaks from Voltrex Vanguard in return. Suffering 8 KOs and 2 Kaz, but my assumption is they were probably just able to score enough before it mattered. If those injuries came later, if all those KOs came back. Yeah, Ramaset and I are playing tomorrow, in fact.
Those High Elves are a really tricky team once they get high development.
Yeah.
And Zeta had inducements, but I doubt.
Let me just say I'm not particularly excited about going up against 6 dodge with 1 tackle on my team.
Yeah. Well, it's the 2+ leap to put guard in your cage. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, I also don't have guards, so.
We'll have a fun time.
He has more guard than I do. Yeah. Then we have Grungy Desserts, Stouticus versus Fear and Bloating, the Red Joker. We predicted Stouticus would take this because his team is frankly just bigger, and in like the Nurgle off, the bigger team is probably better. But we ended up tying here. Red Joker taking more damage as expected, but it's all on Rotters, whereas All Apple Pies was badly hurt. Stolen in the way, the Beast of Nurgle was MNG'd. So while Grungy Desserts did sort of out Kaz, I guess, the Atomics Kaz'd important players that didn't come back, whereas Grungy Desserts Kaz'd unimportant players, and the ones that were important did come back. It's
a really low block amount from Red Joker.
Yeah, that's not a whole lot.
Blocks.
And they resulted in important removals, it seems. So I feel like if this was like slightly more average, this probably would have been Stouticus's game. But with what happened, like very few blocks and injuring relatively important players, that probably made it a bit hard for him to make it 2-1 instead of 1-1. Ramaset said he had to score quickly in the second half because he was down players. But then the KOs came back, and Zeta misclicked in turn 16. I am very aware of misclicks, having done so in my game versus Travel Scrabble this week. I was doing that thing where you like click a player and like count how many squares he can move to see if I could get him somewhere, and then I accidentally double clicked and dodged away a Pestigore who failed. And then I had to burn a reroll on not losing my turn. And it did.
Did it work?
But I didn't get to do the thing I wanted to do, which was dodge that Pestigore out and then blitz the ball. Frankly,
I think Stouticus had a misclick against me, actually, where he moved the player without blitzing, and then he just stood next to me, and I was like, "Where's the blitz?"
Oops. I think it was okay. I made a couple mistakes here and there. I ended up getting some Nurgle warriors stuck on zombies, which is pretty unfortunate. And I think it was a relatively tight game. He had an advantage throughout most of it, but that shouldn't be unexpected considering he's got those werewolves. And then that misclick, while it didn't decide the game, it made the last 3 turns really boring, frankly, because I was at the point where I could throw some dice, and if magic happened, maybe I could tie it, kind of thing. And not terrible dice. It wasn't like I was throwing a string of 6 pluses. It was like, oh no, a couple 3 pluses, and I could probably make a game of this. And then I screwed up I misclicked, and it just kind of made the last 3 turns irrelevant. So it was sort of boring at that point. But yeah, he definitely deserved the win and outplayed me, frankly, more than anything else.
So who had the ball first? Like, who took offense?
I don't remember.
So I'm curious, did you both score first half and then he scored second half?
Oh no, I had it first, and then I had to score faster than I wanted to because he was putting enough pressure on me that I couldn't stall for as long as I'd like. And then he was able to score in the first half because I wasn't able to defend it, and then he scored in his drive. But I did a pretty good job defending the second time, I think, until the misclick. But oh well. And for reference, we had both predicted that not me would win because that's the smart thing to do.
Travel's on a roll, so he's playing really well. How'd you like those wolves?
They're not great. I played them last season and I won that game, but frankly, the only reason I think I won is because I got Muttley 3 out relatively early and he stayed out. And I think any bash team will just lose against Travel Scrabble as long as Muttley 3 is on the field. But if they can remove him, they can win, and that's what happened to me, I think, last season. Okay, so after that, this is what REL 1 looks like in terms of the standings. We've got a bit of they're starting to run away with it, kind of at the top of the division. It's a bit disparate, frankly. We've got Travel Scrabble, Not for Science, both at 18. Stouticus is at 17, and then Mongoose is loose is 15, Red Joker 14, and then down at the bottom of the tables, the top of the table is 18 and the bottom is 5. So there's a pretty big jump between the playoff qualifying teams and everyone else. It's pretty safe to say that the top 4 plus Red Joker and maybe Atomics are the ones that are sort of competing for those playoff spots right now.
Yeah, you'd have to look ahead to see who's playing who.
I believe Big Chuck said something about placing here. I can throw this up on the screen. That should show briefly. He did he used Renar's little predictor tool to show what the probabilities of making playoffs and stuff are. So Scooby and the Gang, Fellows Quadadol 73, 82, Grungy Dessert 63. So basically what I said, right? Up to about Atomics have a reasonable chance of making it, and everyone else is a pretty much a long shot. Arkangel with 0.07% chance of making the playoffs. No, me at 0, but apparently it's actually 0.01. So I can feel good about just straight up, playing for decimal development now rather than trying to win. I have a Pestigore I'd love to level. We mostly talked about the teams, so maybe we don't need to go strictly into them, but is there anything you wanted to talk about in terms of what the teams look like specifically? We did kind of do a little bit of that when we were talking about the games.
It's up to you.
Well, I mean,
in a general sense, you can notice that as the season's gone on, how bashed up these teams are getting, because it's just claw, mighty blow.
I think Not for Science's team looks less damaged than it did at the start of the season, because he's finally fired the players that got hurt rather than getting more of them.
Yeah.
It was worse at the start.
Yeah, at the start it was like a meme where every player was some negative AV or negative movement.
Yeah. Travel Scrabble's team still looks pretty good. But
Top Cat triggers. I hate that player so much.
Agi strength, yeah. No, I hate Muttley more. The Agi 5 wolves are just Agi 5 Leap Wolf is unfair.
Well, the thing with Top Cat is he's niggled, so it's you can taste the Kaz.
I had a double niggled armor busted Nurgle warrior last season. I did it at the end of the open invitational. I fired him. He was there to be he's gonna be bait for people during this open invitational. Maybe people won't hit my better guys, and
it's like a soft taunt.
And I kind of needed him. He was my only good Nurgle warrior at the time, Claw, Mighty Blow, Guard, Block, Tackle. and all my other ones were rookies. So I was like praying that I could get a couple levels through the OSI and then just use him to help me win a bit. And at the end of it, I fired him.
He's like an old man Nurgle warrior, teaching all the kids
so
how to.
If you're not aware, this Nurgle team is the team that I made at the start of college. So this is the I've played this team since through college, minors, and like 4 seasons of REL now. So I've had it forever, and I really don't want to get rid of it because like there's that weird emotional attachment. But that Nurgle warrior that was double niggled and armor busted was the last original player on the team. From all the way back then. So like I don't know if the video is still around on my channel, but like the day I fired him, I just like sat there and was sad for like 5 minutes before I fired him like on stream. Like I don't want to do this, but it was the right thing to do. Yeah.
The OG.
Stolen in the way, the Beast of Nurgle from Grungy Desserts is MNG'd for the next game, which does make a difference. Nothing else here is new in terms of like injuries. I don't know about if there's anything new in terms of levels.
The main thing about his team is that it's much slower than the other Nurgle teams. 3 movements.
Especially, but he does have stand firm to pair with that, so at least he's less likely to get pushed away from places. And even if he's knocked down, you don't have to do the GFI to get back to where you were. You can just stand up because you can stand firm and stay in the square if you get powed or whatever. That kind of counteracts it a little bit, but on an already slow team who hates fast teams, at least he has the movement 8 Pestigore to counter add a little bit. Yep.
That one's a nightmare. It's secretly one of his better players just because of the threat.
One of the I say this all the time, the biggest weakness Nurgle has are the fact that people just run away from them and then they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and I think that player was actually out when I played him. So I could like recklessly just go where I wanted to and not worry about him catching up
just
to me.
the like potato or the like cool I'll hand off from this blitzer to that blitzer and then run to space. Now I'm totally out of range of all of your players and Nurgle can't do anything about it, is how Nurgle lose games against teams, frankly. Here's a
I know their
me too.
Ways.
And I say that all the time. I'm not too scared about agi teams. I'm scared about fast teams. It just happens that most agi teams are fast. Here's the Chorfs from Mongoose is Loose. Man, this team is terrifying. That's so much Claw Mighty Blow on a Chorf team. Yeah, it is terrifying. We're almost at a third Claw Mighty Blow piling on. Gra Thradash is at 49, so he needs 1 Kaz, which probably isn't going to be too hard.
There's no real hole on this team. It's like the Chorf nightmare because he has all the guard, and then he also has the kill pieces, and then both of his bulls have break tackle. So it's like
normally when you run into Chorfs, like either they have a bunch of guard and no Claw Mighty Blow piling on, or they have a bunch of Claw Mighty Blow and no guard, and you can kind of use the one that they don't have to your advantage. Like, oh, he has no guard, I'll just use all my Black Orcs with guard to make his blocks hard. Like,
you look for a flaw,
and
like
this team just doesn't have one. I mean, the Bull Centaur is movement busted,
even the
I
ball
guess,
carrier.
like, that's it. No, frankly, no. And then
but even the ball carrier is just like ridiculous.
Not at all. I mean, I guess the only thing that would be annoying is almost all of his players are relevant. In that, like, there's 4 Nurgle teams in this div. Like, you don't have a lot of guys you don't care about to just eat those claw blocks sometimes. But you're going to be doing enough that with your own Chorfs that it probably isn't going to make that much of a difference. Fear and Bloating. Another Nurgle team had their Rotter contingent trimmed a little bit recently. I don't know if we don't have much in the way of new levels, but Thought, or as I like to say, Thought Ho, because that's a hilarious name. Thought Ho Rotma is
Thought Ho
is 2 SVP from leveling. Yeah, so he'll get tackle or stand firm, probably. But that's
probably. Actually, I don't know. I don't want to say either. I don't want to give him.
Have you not played him yet? I mean, if
No, I have. Actually, I beat him. I beat both the Nurgle teams. No, those are my only victories.
Well.
Strangely enough.
Yeah, stand firm or tackle are both like the Nurgle warrior level stream is basically block, mighty blow, claw, guard, tackle, stand firm in some order, assuming you don't get anything else. So, and then we have the Ramaset and the Voltrex Vanguard. We looked at these when we were talking about the team. It looks like this lineman. Meldiran Rololoth has gotten tackle recently, and a block on the guard lineman is useful, slightly more likely to stay alive. Nothing else looks super new, but I mean, this is just a high elf team with 2 guard, couple stats, whole lot of blodge, 3 guard actually.
Four strength
super
leap.
Annoying. 4 strength leap is leap is really good. Agi 5 leap with blodge step guard, like that's a 2+ leap to wherever you want, to put guard wherever you want, and then it's really hard to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Followed by
he can get a 2-die into a cage super easily.
I mean, he can get a 2-die into a cage that has guard on the corners, like or at least a 1-die.
Even that lineman, he has a 5 agility lineman that can kind of do stuff too.
Yeah,
because as wrestle. Even that could be a sacker.
I play him this week, and it's going to be terrifying. It's going to be all about praying really hard that I can like KO some elves or whatever, and that's going to be about praying to get POWs because I have 1 tackle. So good luck me.
Does he have a deep bench?
He just has 11.
Okay.
So that's the way I win that, I guess, which is so like cliche, like Nurgle coach has to kill elves to win, but like what else am I supposed to do there?
No, that's I mean that's the strategy. I mean that's what you're supposed to do. It's all about maximizing the efficiency of the kills.
Then Motley, we got some Darkelves. Once again, all the elf teams in this division are gross. 2 Agi 5 blitzers, a strength 4 lineman. I mean, we lost a blitzer in that last game, the rookie, but he was just a rookie. All the blitzers are blodge step or like blodge Agi guard. Gross.
Yeah, it's the guard that stands out. That's a lot of guard.
Two of the elf teams in this division have more guard than I do, which makes me really sad.
Yeah. Guard on elves makes them just such nightmares to play against.
And here's you. Unfortunately, you're at 2 blitzers for your next game.
What's left of him?
Yeah, you're missing Griff. He's been gone a while, sadly. Yeah, he's been gone for a long time. Yeah. But you're working on it.
You know what's funny? Is his entire career he only missed 1 game because he got struck by lightning. And then he got hit by a vampire without mighty blow and it just killed him.
Yeah.
And the Apo didn't do anything.
Seems, like, it's very Blood Bowl. He's fine all his career, and then 1 random thing. Yeah,
just smash him. But it's pretty
the next one will be a little rough with only 2 blitzers because that's frankly the biggest strength of the team is you've got some pretty crazy blitzers. 2 Agi 4, movement 7, blodge step guys can do a lot against the bash teams in this div, and them being tackle and mighty blow does a lot against the elf teams in the div. So.
Yeah, it's the agility matchups.
I can imagine, yeah.
Because all the wrestle and fend, all that stuff makes it awkward for
the fend especially, and the blockers are you've had like a rotating cast of blockers too. They keep dying on you.
Yeah, what's ironic is that Witch Hunter is actually the OG
and hasn't leveled yet. Witch Hunter.
He's the last guy that's ever. Yeah, he's the last guy that's or last man standing, I guess. That's one way to put it.
Yeah, guard's infirm.
Somehow he's still alive. Yeah, he's the only blocker that has Apo.
That's fair.
On my team.
Yeah, well, the guard on Brett's is pretty useful. There's only 4 players with like natural guard access, and they have wrestle to start with, which can make it awkward. But not bad. And you want guard, but they're also the players with guard turn out to be the ones that have to go and mark stuff because that's how guard works. So therefore they get punched and then
they're taken out. I don't know. They've just had bad luck, I think, with their health. They die if they get sneezed at.
Locust has a chaos team. How is this team 1950? I don't understand.
He has a lot of skills, but they're spread out.
Yeah, it's very wide, I guess.
A lot of players.
Two really good warriors, two like fine warriors. Start of a second killer beast with the strength and mighty blow. We got the main killer beast with the standard skill package, ball carrier, guard beast, wrestle beast, dirty player beast. Relatively standard. You
probably get two arms on the ball carrier.
Yeah, fake edgy 5 when you get 2 heads and extra arms. Or edgy 4, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 2 skills to get edgy 4. It's a fine chaos team. It's exactly kind of what you want a chaos team to do. There's nothing particularly unfair about it. Right? Like there's no crazy stats or anything. There's only one.
He's probably just vulnerable to.
Yeah, frankly, that's the only issue I think it has is that there are 4 big Nurgle teams in this div, and 3 big Nurgle teams in me, and this team will probably struggle against them a little bit because they're just gonna get out punched and out guarded and stuff. But
I mean, he's lost a warrior. I think at some point.
Probably do all right versus the elves. They got a couple tackle and some wrestle and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see, and then Arkangel. He has sort of a team. It generally does well because Geocaches Unseen, Adrastea, and Savari are the whole team. He leveled this new War Dancer last game, so he now has a strip ball finally for the first time in forever. And in the first time in forever, he has 2 War Dancers instead of just 1. So that's a new development. But he leveled before dying, which is incredible. Normally he had a debate because he got 9 movement.
Oh, really? On that War Dancer. Yeah, he wasn't sure if he wanted to take strip ball or 9 movement. I guess he really wanted.
Yeah, he's got alignment on the team, which is weird. Normally we don't see those, other than Savari, of course. Yanari is still alive. This rookie catcher hasn't died yet either, and the thrower has gotten strong arm since like 2 weeks ago, I think, which is handy. It's a nice start to a thrower. I mean, strong arm is the hard skill to get, but strong arm and accurate can do so much on a thrower.
Oh yeah, you just throw it. What is it? 7 spaces.
Yeet City.
At that point. Yeah, Savari's still being alive. I don't understand.
Savari has infinite apple rights, and normally his team gets crazy inducements against everyone else. So he often has 2 appos.
Makes sense.
Ars Gochi Zeta. Savari don't break. Another chaos team who suffered a little bit of warrior damage. There's a rookie one. There's a block one. There's an AV8 one. Almost leveled though on the AV8 one. Juggernaut now on Mufagors, the surfing piece, the movement sidestep frenzy. Now also has Juggernaut, so we got a really cool surfing beastman there.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. He's got a. Let's see, he does. He almost had the beastman. He took movement instead. Yeah, which is fair.
I mean, that's true. Well, it is better. Like sure hands, block, dodge are the first, or like the 3 skills you want on a ball carrying beast or pest, and then everything else is stats. Like any stat you can get besides armor is great at that point. And then you take 2 heads or extra arms if you don't get stats, because they're kind of like stats but more expensive because you have to get 2 of them. And that's pretty much how ball carriers work, right? If you could have like a movement 7, agi 4, strength 4, block, dodge, sure hands carrier, you'd have a great time. But there's only 3 skills you really care about on a ball carrying beast.
It's a strange team. I mean, you can tell it's been beat up.
Yeah.
Like 1 tackle. That's not.
You know who else has 1 tackle? Me. But first, that was a good segue because we are at my team. We are at my team. Yeah. It's a team. It's better than it was at the start of the season. It was better than it was at the start of the season. By a lot.
Hold up, you got a very decent ball carrier. In fact, that's a great ball.
He's the only ball carrier. He was the only good player on the team at the start of the season. The Nurgle warrior that got strength got it very recently. The Pestigore at the bottom just got legend in his last game, like last week. So for Juggernaut, a lot of the other skills are new. Like block on the 4th Nurgle warrior is new. Mighty blow on the 1st Nurgle warrior is new. Like I went into the season without a lot of this, so I'm getting back up to where I was, but I'm losing games in the process. But the team's a lot better now than it was like 6 games ago, frankly.
Is that a Beast of Nurgle?
That's my third Beast of Nurgle, yeah.
Or because I noticed the naming scheme, you have like 2.
Oh,
3,
yeah. With him, I went
4.
because the first one was Venusaur, and then he died, and then it was Ivysaur, and then he died, and now it's Bulbasaur.
Oh.
And then I was replacing players so frequently, I got tired of coming up with new puns, so I started just making 2, 3 on the puns that I liked the most. But there was a convenient like progression for Venus, Ivy, Bulba. But I miss Ivysaur so much. Ivysaur was a blodge plus movement Beast of Nurgle.
Yeah, I'm looking at him. He took 2 niggles.
Yep.
And then he died.
Yeah, he was great while he lasted. Yeah, we're getting there.
And I can see the kidney disease.
Yeah, the old one. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yep.
AV bust, moving bust, niggle.
Yeah. He was. I've lost a lot of players on this team. A lot. I mean, a lot of them are rotters, but I've lost a lot of good players too, which is kind of sad. Last season, I averaged a death a game. Like one player from my team died on average every game last season. So
I know how
it was not great when you have regen and are supposed to be doing the killing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the start of the season it was really bad. Now it is better. It's starting to look good again. I've gotten a strength 5 Nurgle warrior who's really good. Finally gotten 2 Nurgle warriors that aren't rookies. I finally got a skill on the rookie Pestigore, which means that I feel comfortable buying a 4th Pestigore soon. Hit legend on the bottom one. The ball carrier one is really good. Yeah, so we're getting there. Like I would love to see those 2 Nurgle warriors that only have 1 level go up to 2 so that I can have like block guard and then like mighty blow block, and then I think this team is actually good again. But for now it's
right. It's super close to coming back on.
At the start of the season it was terrible, but now we're getting there. We're getting there. We're almost there.
You got 3 important pieces that are MVP away from.
Yeah, that's really nice. This guy, and this guy, the beast and the 2 warriors. And this is my first legend ever, which I'm very happy about. I've never had a legend player before, and now we have Type 2 Weepin' Beaties, the Pestigore, who's the most boring legend ever.
You got the
yeah,
achievement.
I did. And he's the most stereotypical Pestigore legend in the universe. Block, mighty blow, claw, piling on, tackle, juggernaut, because he rolled on normals. But it turns out that's a good player. And the Necronomics we saw. I mean, Horny Cricket Hate My Hair is dead, but Horny Soul is got Agi 4 or Agi 5 now. So
yes,
that's fun. But this team is werewolves and the ghoul, frankly, and the one flesh golem.
He has one really, really good flesh golem.
I think this team is allowed to just have one positional, like one werewolf, one flesh golem, one white, one ghoul. That's what you get. You get one of each, and everyone else dies.
I don't know if he's had like cash flow problems.
Well, he's only played two games this like actual season because he kind of inherited a record.
Yeah.
Well, shall we? Do you want to predict some things? So we've got Motley's Darkelves and Volcano's Chorfs.
I'm not familiar with Motley. Besides, I know he's a good coach based upon other people.
Well, look at the. Feel free to look at the teams. Then it's a 3-guard, crazy good witch elf, like a human blitzer witch elf, couple agi.
Yeah, it's the amount of guard that piques my interest.
Well, how well do you think it'll fare against the triple claw, mighty blow, tackle, Chorf blockers? Because that's.
So, if I'm choosing seriously, I take.
That's who I'm going to pick. So feel free to pick your choose as you'd like.
So I'll take Motley, but I also think Molly
does.
has a good chance because he's going to get a wizard. He has the guard. He has really good pieces. So I hope I'm wrong. Yeah, I'll take Molly.
We have All Stars of Chaos and the Necronomics. It's Horny Cricket with what 390k versus Locus's Chaos.
Ooh. The problem is Horny's team is so bashed up, and he can't get that second wolf. I think he's like 10k away, which is a huge bummer. So the question is, can this team? Because his wolf is a ball carrier, so that wolf's not going to be running around.
Yeah, that is the thing.
So then he's gonna have to depend upon the white, who's actually a guard, stand firm type piece. So he doesn't have much hitting power, and his mobility is kind of cut in half because he lost his.
He
other
has
wolf.
the ghoul, who's movement 7 still.
Yeah,
and
also.
I mean that's true, but he also gets a bunch of inducements, right? Like Cheney, Wizard.
Yeah, he'll be getting Cheney for the rest of the season, probably. So Cheney, Cheney and Wizard with the
Wizard with the Wizard with the Agi5 werewolf is basically a free touchdown, frankly.
Yeah, well, you got to pick it up and probably toss it to Cheney because he has catch. And just run off with it. Like that's definitely a play that's going to be available to him. I say it's very important who takes off.
Yeah, that's true. If the Chaos get a bunch of removals, then it might be difficult for Horny Cricket right away.
Yeah. I'm thinking Chaos. Mostly because he did a good job of pressuring, I thought, on defense.
Yeah.
And he just has a stronger team.
I haven't played him yet this season, so I don't know. I don't know what his playstyle is personally.
I think if Horny had another guard or more killing power, I would put it in his court. But
how much is Cheney?
Bashed up.
Oh, Locus has 200k in the bank, so it's actually 340. So 260 is not. So we can get Cheney, but not Cheney and a wizard, unless he wants to scum with some of his own cash. That makes me change my mind. I think I was gonna say Horny Cricket, but with only the one wolf and not enough to have like both and the wizard when your wolf is so dedicated to ball carrying, makes you want to take the chaos, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have Atomics versus Not for Science. So it's the High Elves who haven't really lost a game yet this season, or they've only lost one versus Nurgle. Well,
lost to Red Joker.
The High Elves lost to Arkangel this week, right? Yeah.
No, I mean one of the Nurgle teams.
Oh, I see.
A week or two ago. Oh, Stouticus, I think.
What are the Fel? So Felvis Quadadal, the 2050 High Elf team, gets 300k in inducements against the Nurgle. And there are two tack. So there's 3 tackle for the Rowdy Rebel Rousers. 2 of them are on Nurgle Warriors. One of them is on the Agi 4 Strength 4 piece. Who's Bird is an incredible piece. Like Frenzy, Wrestle Tackle, Agi 4 Strength 4 is insane. I don't know if it'll beat a natural one turner with 300k in inducements.
So I honestly think this is the best Nurgle team, actually, in the division.
I think it.
Also,
I think it is
I
too.
played Atomics with the wizard, and just from observation, he's pretty good about protecting himself from the wizard. Like I found it very difficult to find a spot to actually get that wizard used correctly or precisely on him. So if he plays like that, he's hard to beat, honestly. And again, it's one of those games where if he goes first, if he wins the coin toss and just starts smashing right out the gate, I have a hard time picturing
it's
the High Elves winning.
like there's a bunch of teams where if they get the advantage early, it's very easy for them to snowball, right? With 4 Nurgle and a Chorf team, like if they get an early advantage, it's pretty easy for them to continue it. So it's hard to choose that ahead of time, but for the purpose of our silly little game, I'm gonna take the High Elves. I think, yeah, I'll take the High Elves. Do you want the Nurgle?
Okay. I'll take the Nurgle. Yeah.
And that's nice because I'm so far behind in points that I kind of need to just like try the opposite thing, or I'm not going to get to catch up. All right, you versus Zeta. Predict your own match.
This is before the season even started. It's a little different now because he's more beat up. But when the season started, I thought this was the worst matchup for my team. I hate Chaos. They're so hard to play against. I mean, so the good news is he has 1 tackle. The bad news is you have 2 blitzers. Right. Yeah, I don't have much of a team at this point.
I mean, you do have the 2 blitzers, and you get a stupid amount of inducements, frankly. 470 because you've got 160k in the bank, so you get 470k in inducements. Yeah. I mean, you could play Griffball.
So yeah. I don't know if I will, but we'll see. I took Griff last time and he got cast, and he wasn't much use. He like snaked a roll, snaked a dodge, and he got cast out. I was like, that didn't feel good. I might take Zug, to be honest.
Zug is fun. I've taken him before as Bretonnians.
Yeah, he's very, very TV efficient, so it lets me take other pieces. But I'm choosing Beta.
Okay. So. Let me write this down. Well, for the purposes of being spicy and also getting points, I'll take you. We're at the point where I'm doing the stupid thing I do every season, where instead of picking like teams that I think I actually want to win, I start to try to game our stupid little competition that we've set up, and like just try to do whatever I can to like maybe if I get lucky get points, because I treat this like it's important even though it's not. So gaming the system.
Hey man, if you're gonna choose me, I mean I'm gonna play hard. So.
Well, I
always
think
play to
the
win.
prediction for I missed one. We have the Red Joker versus Arkangel.
Oh.
There's too many Nurgle themes in this div. The Rowdy Rebel rouses atomics. The Red Joker is fear and bloating. Against Arkangel. So Arkangel's will is what 420 TV against 420 in inducements against a Nurgle team. This one at least has tackle. There's 3, and one of them is another strength 4 agi 4 wrestle tackle piece, because there are 2 in this division for some reason.
With 2 heads. So
that's true. This one is like agi 5 strength 5 on the blitz because 2 heads and horns.
That's obnoxious.
That's really good. The only downside is that it's going to be slow. There isn't any plus movement here, and one of the Nurgle warriors is movement 3. So like Arkangel outspeeds him like really significantly, other than Savari, because Savari is Savari with movement 6.
I don't know how Red Joker plays against agi teams. They've played in the past. I see there's a match in the report. I don't know if I want to say it. Result.
Every
I think you just scroll. Go back up a little bit. Scroll up. Oh, they actually played twice. Yeah.
And there's one there.
A couple times.
Generally, my opinion is Arkangel knows how to play against like bashy Nurgle teams and is good at it, and his team is very fast, which is like because he's Wood Elves, but he has the like tools to be annoying against Nurgle, right? Like the sack pick up run away sort of play style. His team is built at doing that very well with Savari and He Who Catches Unseen is very much like leap in, grab ball, throw it away, run away, and Nurgle are screwed. So my
Can he get Eldril? I don't know how much.
Less than 400,000. So yes.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he gets Eldril and a wizard, that's
I mean, my brain my heart really wants to take Arkangel because normally he does well against these sort of Nurgle teams, but he's been having a bit of a rough season and has lost against most of them this season so far, me included. So I don't know, like if you want to take this season's results into account, it's probably you'd probably want to take the Nurgle, but like over several seasons, it's got to turn around eventually, and normally he's really good at that match. So I mean, I want to take Arkangel. I'm sorry, Fear and Bloating. Okay.
I'll take Red Joker. I'm actually a big fan of his.
If you predict anybody other than Ramaset in the game of Ramaset versus me, you are wrong. So we can move on, I guess, unless you have a different opinion. No,
so
I'm choosing Ramaset.
Yourself? Is that right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, then I'll choose you. I got faith,
I don't.
Man. I'm just conflicted because I'm trying to nuke.
And you are fully within your rights to do that. I mean, I get 50k versus him, which isn't a lot. It's not anything useful. He's only got 11 players, so like maybe if I'm lucky and get some removals, then I have a shot. But I have 1 tackle on the whole team, and he has like 6 or 7 dodge, so it's going to be difficult for me to actually get good blocks, which is what it comes down to in my mind. And we have Travel Scrabble and Grungy Desserts. This is a big one. 2 top of the table teams.
Yeah.
Scooby and the gang, Grungy Desserts. Necro getting exactly a wizard, right? Yeah. And that's been Travel Scrabble's sort of plan all season. Is there's all these big Nurgle teams. I'm gonna make sure my TV is just low enough that I always get a wizard against them, and then just use the Agi5 Wolf to do Agi5 Wolf things.
He has an option with his treasury. He can either take a zombie, or he can spend it on like not a bribe, but
he's
a bait.
He is 70k above.
Yeah, or a ghoul. That's possible.
Although taking a ghoul, which is armor 7 and no regen, as a rookie against a Nurgle team with
murderous
3 tackle mighty blow players is probably an exercise in stupidity, frankly.
There is one big thing about this matchup is that Beast is out.
Yeah, the Beast is out. Normally I like Travel Scrabble in these matchups because of the wolf. However, there's a Pestigore that can keep up with him, right? There's the movement 8 Pestigore. So the normal like sort of weakness of Nurgle is kind of counteracted by Stouticus's Pestigore there. Man, this is like I would flip a coin and be happy with the result here, frankly, of who I predict. So I will take my fellow Nurgle brother and go with Stouticus, just for Nurgle support. There you go. Very divisive division. Are you still good to go? Do you want to keep doing Div 2, or do you are you sweet?
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's move on to Div 2 and see how Div 2A fared this week. Click, go. There we go. A lot of zeros on that scoreline.
Freeze.
So first we had Superfed and Jimmy Burrito. We both predicted Superfed would take that, bringing me up to positive points for this week, which is, or at least non-negative points. I'm at 0 currently. Cat, what are you doing? I can't see. Kitty.
I noticed that Superfed has the inducement.
He does. He has that. He used to have a Wizard Stadium, and then he lost because he was just wanted to get the wizard all the time. But then he has like his team sort of changed and ended up buying the. He lost some players, I think, and he found himself down TV a lot So taking the Nuffle's Altar means that he can get some like really valuable like cheap inducements whenever he's at home. Things like Fez Glitch isn't particularly great, but he's great when he's really cheap. And he can just be efficient, right? You know, it's a strength 7 piece that can be annoying to like deal with. A lot of people will just like uphill it or whatever, but if you can
I swear it has like a magnet that causes people to blitz it for some stupid reason.
if you can let him,
it's hypnotizing.
Well, people see the fanatic and they're like, if I just knock him down, he's gone forever, and then they dedicate their time to try to knock him down.
Oh, I see it all the time. I'm like,
just leave.
Just ignore it. Like half the time, it'll just spin off into the distance and just not do anything.
But his
but people get
it was very efficient for him in this game, getting a Kaz of his own. But yeah, Superfed taking good advantage of that. Leveled his Gutter Runner here, so we can see what he grabs later. Touchdown on that Gutter Runner. Touchdown on another Gutter Runner. The leaping one.
10 movement.
Yeah, cool. That's fun. Great. That's
great.
That's what we want.
Good job.
The white taking a niggle is unfortunate. At least he's not like a palm white, because I know the pain of having a white with piling on Mighty Blow and a niggle, and how annoying that is to make that decision. Do I put this guy on the floor where he's going to get fouled by anybody who can reach him, but get me the reroll on this block or on this armor break, or what? It's annoying, but he's got the he's just guard for now, so you can take stand firm and just be a support. Plus on Necro, the whites are often less the blitzers, and whereas my white is on an undead team where they kind of do a lot of blitzing. On Necro, you use wolves, and Paris Stilton does that. Getting badly hurt, but is a Mighty Blow jump up werewolf. Even tempting fate by taking jump up before Mighty Blow.
Well, they don't have.
No, they don't. So the jump up is like a call to the gods, being like, I will get 2 doubles for Mighty Blow piling on. I will. But Superfed takes that 2-0. Had a bunch of inducements in this game and utilized them to good effect. Fez Glitch doing some work, and gutter runners being gutter runners, and badly hurt on a werewolf, meaning he didn't regen, is kind of the big way, especially that wolf being Mighty Blow tackle, is the big way these Necro can defend against rats, right? Like the movement 8. No, he has another one, but the other one is a rookie, so he doesn't have like tackle or Mighty Blow to do anything to the gutter runners that he's chasing down.
Oh, yeah, he must have been helpless. He has no tackle like at all. I imagine super.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of like good inducement usage, a lot of high speed and dodge made it 2-0 for him. Average Joe's Gym versus Cogs of War. This is Duberman versus my favorite team in the universe, or at least it was until the Coltrane got killed by Spoopy Mulder, and we're never gonna forgive Spoopy Mulder for that. I will bring it up every time. Yeah, Coltrane, he was. This is the Death Roller Dwarf team without a Death Roller because he's dead now. So we both predicted the High Elves predictably, because it's a dwarf team that is outguarded by the High Elves, considering the dwarves have 0 guard. Oh, they have 1.
These are humans, aren't they? Are they?
No.
Are they High Elves? Oh, they are. It's my bad. For some reason,
we predicted the High Elves because like this dwarf team was a dwarf team built entirely around the Death Roller, because his lineman had almost no skills, and then the Death Roller died, so he's kind of in a rough position this season. He even lost another lineman in this one, blocker dying. Hey, hello.
That's unfortunate.
Catcher taking a badly hurt, serious concussion on the loner lineman, so who cares? But a lot of completed passes. From the High Elves 3-1-1-1. Farmed some SPP there, it seems, to get 2 levels that we'll be able to check out in a bit. But 45 blocks, like for the High Elves actually outblocked the dwarves the exact same amount of armor breaks. So like, elves that keep up with you on armor breaks and are also elves are going to beat dwarves, frankly, and that's why it's 3-0.
Oh, yeah.
The Death Roller died weeks ago. The Death Roller died In this matchup here, it was against Lizards by Spoopy Mulder. Let me show you if you missed. You haven't seen this Death Roller Surge. This whole team it's the Coltrane baby, which is a piling on block, grab, guard, multi-block Death Roller. Yep, and he had the bribe stadium too. So whenever he was at home, that Death Roller, he had a bribe for that Death Roller. Like this whole team was built around using that Death Roller, and it's the Coltrane baby in all caps on a Death Roller is incredible. And then Spoopy Mulder, Pris Brinchley, had to kill it like some sort of idiot. Ugh, I'm so sad. But we were right. Clicheos versus the Fogmire Fen Beasts. We had predicted the chaos. We are killing Div 2 so far. In what has been like a theme this season, we've been very wrong about Div 1 a lot, but very right about Div 2 a lot. And frankly, I guess that speaks to the weirdness of Div 1 this season.
Yeah. The thing is, I haven't paid any attention to Div 2, so this is like my first time looking at
well, we had Big Chuck's Clicheos. He made the... for a bit of background, I guess, he made the Challengers Cup last season. Didn't really want to be in it, but did really well in it. Made it really far, and it cost him some players. But here he is in Div 2.
That's a big loss.
Speaking of players being costed. Whoa. Fogmire Fen Beasts made 32 blocks. That is the least number of blocks I've ever seen that team make.
Is this the Lizard team that used to have like?
This is the Lizard team that once had 4 Frenzy, yeah. It now has 2. Yeah. But every time I've seen a match report from Fogmire Fen Beast, it's like blocks made 60.
Because it's a bunch of frenzies, so it's just like 2 die 2.
The 32 blocks is a tiny amount.
Yeah, that's really tiny.
Well, that would explain it. So 15 armor breaks for Big Chuck, resulting in 5 KOs and 4 Kaz. One of them was Apoed, it looks like, but that's 9 lizards off the field, which is most of the team. Helmet was available, which is kind of funny. I also love the names on Fogmire Fen Beast, like Frank from Finance, the Croxagore,
Frank,
and like Lord Wheeze of the Juice, Fruity Loops Go Crunch, more beer. Like I don't understand where these come from, but I love Rolling Red. Science Experiment disappointed me. He bought a rookie skink at the end of this season last season and named it Science Experiment in all caps, and I was like, what are you going to do with this? What is that going to be? Like, this is the lizard coach who takes Frenzy on all of his lizards. I need to see what Science Experiment the skink becomes. And then he rolled doubles and took Dirty Player, and I was like, oh well, now I'm sad.
I mean, after that you just take what's the other one?
Sneaky
Nobody
Get.
takes Sneaky Get, yeah. Perfect foul piece. 8 movement. Can foul from across the field.
Yeah, so Big Chuck wins this. Apparently he tried to greed Warrior SPP and failed to catch, so it's 1-0 instead of more than that. Lost the ball carrier, which really sucks, frankly. So we got to build a new one, and that's a slow process because you want block, you want sure hands, and the fact that he had movement and is gone is a really big problem.
There's no backup either. Like, none of these pieces can fill that role.
In a pinch, you could use Twist of Fate just because dodge is a thing, but wrestle on your ball carrier is a bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
I mean, you could always do something with warriors, frankly. I mean, warriors are Agi 3, right? You could just carry on a warrior, but like it kind of sucks to do that. Oh, the Agi Goat backup died last game, so Big Chuck's Big Chuck's season continuing in the way that his Challengers Cup run did, and then all his players keep dying, but he keeps winning. Yeah, it just badly hurts for the lizards, but lizards are fairly weak to sort of guard, claw, mighty blow, punching, because Saurus are worth so much, and it's pretty easy for them to go out. When I say worth, I don't mean like TV, but like so much of the lizard game is built around doing things with Saurus. So if you go down Saurus, it becomes really hard to keep doing things.
I'm of the opinion that if Claw didn't exist, then Lizards would probably be like the best team.
I think I agree with you. I mean, they're so optimized. Yeah. Like, Saurus are really cheap. They're movement 6, strength 4. They're Agi 1, but who cares? They don't need to do anything agile. And then like you've got the crazy agi pieces in like skinks and the really good punchy pieces in Saurus, and they're all really fast. But the downside to having really specialized players is that if you lose the players, like if you go skink hunting, suddenly the lizards can't do anything with the ball because they only have Saurus. And if you go Saurus hunting, then they can't like defend themselves because they have no Saurus.
It's super min-max.
Yeah, and Claw makes Saurus sad, and then Lizard sad in return. Spoony Bard and Steer, so this is Delves versus the Charlestown Chiefs. We had predicted that the Darkelves would win, and we are still on a roll.
That's a very empty looking team.
That's why we predicted the Darkelves.
That's a very like season 2 looking.
Yeah, Steer's been rebuilding a bit this season, and he's not quite there. He did level the Saurus, the rookie Saurus here, so at least we only have 1 rookie now instead of 2. But yeah, just like 4 block of 6 Saurus and no Crocs, or we do have a Croxigor, so he's a Bloxigor. But two rookie Saurus do not like a really good lizard team make. At least the one thing he does have going for him is that most of his SPP is on the Saurus, and he doesn't have a lot of like wasted skink SPP, other than on the one with like sprint sure feet. But it's nice to have like the one good skink. Yeah, one
easy one turner
1-0 from Spoony Bard. 28. He only made 28 blocks. Lizards made 44. A lot of elves got injured, but I think this was just a matter of like it didn't really matter because the elves are of quite quality, and it was relatively easy for them to just stop the lizards who don't really have a whole lot going for them from scoring.
Yeah, he also has a 4 strength.
Yeah,
blitzer.
That's very good.
I imagine that guy put in a lot of work.
Yeah, for sure. 12 armor breaks, 2 KOs, 0 casualties, but 2 KOs if they were on Saurus is enough to basically ruin this team, frankly. Because if you have 6 Saurus, only 4 of them have block, and then you lose 2 of the block Saurus, your team is going to be very sad for the rest of the game.
Yeah, it's done.
And we had Brick and Mortary, Fiction versus Yayo Yield Guard. We predicted that the Orcs would win, and we are still nailing this division.
It's a good orc team.
It's a really good orc team, and it's coached by a really good orc coach. So
super efficient.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, block guard, 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 fight me is what this team is. Yeah, getting a lot of blocks, leveraging that guard into a lot of blocks, a lot of armor breaks, a lot of KOs and Kazs from it. So that if the Nurgle or frankly don't do very well against guard spam, because they kind of play, they bank on, against an orc team in particular, they very much bank on removals, because Claw Mighty Blow is a thing, but it turns out that it's really hard to get blocks against a giant wall of strength 4 guard. So it can be really hard to win matches as Nurgle versus guard spam like that, unless the removals go your way, like unless you're a little bit lucky, frankly. Ooh. And he was not. Also, Bomber Dribble Snot. That's funny.
There's a big death.
Oh man, that is a big death. Scoots.
Actually, what's curious about Dribble Snot is that Fiction was not getting inducements, so he must have induced him off the his little stadium upgrade.
Bomber with a stadium upgrade is super cheap.
Like, yeah, I think they need to fix that.
I mean, it's the same. Like, there's some grossly cheap players like that you can get with that.
Yeah, there's a couple players
like
you can do.
All the like Dwarf Longbeard secret weapons like Boomer or whatever are really cheap. And
yep, you can get Boomer.
Yeah,
for
and
10K.
he's basically just a Longbeard that gets sent off at the end of the half. So he's like, if you could tell me, yep, here's 10K for like a block armor 9 player that you could just not care about, I'd be like, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
every single time.
So, and I imagine Bomber was just something like that, right? Here's a player I don't care about. I can put him on the line. He's got dodge, so he's probably not likely to get hurt.
See,
there you go.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the tabletop, so like I don't think tabletop has the induce or the
stadium
enhancements.
enhancements. I don't.
Stadium enhancement?
No, I don't play tabletop either. But we leveled an Orc Blitzer who got all 3 TDs. So he was doing the running. Yeah, so Nurgle versus guard wall. Nurgle not getting removals means the guard wall probably wins.
There's a huge death on that sacker.
You get 4 Pestigors as a Nurgle team, and almost every Nurgle team builds them the same way. You build a ball carrier, you build a killer, you build a safety one, and then you have a sort of flex one that some people make a like frenzy piece, some people make a guard piece, whatever. And so losing any of them is a big deal because you only have 4 and they're all very specialized. But especially the sacker, like the ball carrier and sacker, frankly, it's not too hard to build a new killer. It turns out killers get SPP fast, but who doesn't get SPP fast? Somebody with wrestle, who is designed to like not hurt stuff, and that's a good sacker.
Just playfully take him to the ground.
Wrestle, tackle, 2-head strip ball, like that's 60 SPP. That's going to be hard to get, and not a lot of Nurgle teams have one of those, and that's a Agi 4, Strength 4. Strip ball wrestle tackle blitz is pretty gross against a lot of teams, so that's unfortunate. Then we have Bring Out Your Undead, Rand the Mad versus Luminous and his Gourmet Governors. I feel like this is where we're going to get our first incorrect pick, and I am right about that. We predicted Vamps. We did. Well,
really?
For one, it's Luminous. He's doing...
Yeah, but he has 3 vampires.
They're very good vampires. And the...
Oh, yeah.
The reasoning behind picking this was that Rand has 1 Tomb Guardian with any sort of levels, and all his SPP is on skeletons. So it would be pretty easy to like kind of neutralize the 1 useful Tomb Guardian, which is so much of the Khemri game, is having the 4 Tomb Guardians. And as Vamps, it's not too hard to get a block on a blockless guy, even if he's strength 5, or even just to like hypnogaze that 1 guard, and then suddenly there's probably a giant hole in the Khemri line because it's the only really useful Tomb Guardian. Was what the thought was behind that. But looks like Rand won this one 2-1. Got 39 blocks into 22 armor breaks, resulting in 5 KOs and 4 Kaz. Not at all. And then Luminous looks like inflicted like another Kaz and a whole bunch of KOs on his own thralls. Like, well, received 5 KOs, received 7 KOs and was given 5. So that's, if the KO rolls are bad, that's a lot of thralls out. 4 badly hurt thralls there.
Did he get surfed, or is that a surf that he did on the other opponent?
That is a given surf, I believe. So yeah, I mean, kind of typical vampire loss in that they weren't able to get really far ahead quickly, and then they just kind of ran out of resources. Right, you run out of thralls, then your vamps can't do stuff, and you're sad.
Yeah, it's like the gas for the
running
the
out
engine.
of thralls, you run out of gas, and then can't do a whole lot afterwards. And I feel like that's probably what happened.
Yeah. I think 3 vampires is like 1 vamp.
He had more than that. Turns out one of them, I think, was MNG'd for this game. We can see that in a bit more detail later. Yeah, so there was one of them was missing for this game. He has 4, and they're all good, but one was just not here for this game. Which was it? The dim someone. So he was missing a dodge plus movement block sidestep pro vampire. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
But 2-1 is if this was going to be a Khemri win, I would have expected like 2-0 or 1-0, or just like the Khemri annihilating the vampires, then them not being able to do something, rather than it being this close. But yeah,
it's hard to say. I imagine he just formed his cage of Tomb Guardians and then
That's what I
just couldn't
thought
get
would
into it.
happen, but I thought Luminous would be able to get into it because only one of the corners would be guard, and we could just hypnogaze that. And then there you go. But looks like we didn't manage to finish it off. And then we had the meanest, greenest boys. Wait, what the hell happened here? We predicted the Orcs, and this was probably like the most like decisive prediction we made, where we were just like, the Orcs have this. And they lost 2-0 because look at this Orc team.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a disgusting Orc
crap.
team, and it's against a Lizard team that is, you know, they've got 2 rookie Saurus. Like, and even on top of that, they don't have all 6 Saurus. They have 5, and 2 of them are rookies. Against an Orc team with that many stats, we were just like, this will be Orcs all day. But it looks like Spoopy just like took the Orcs to school. Like, look at all those injuries. For
Helmet. Probably
Helmet
Wizard,
doing work.
maybe?
Well, he had Helmet and he had Slibbly and he had
Yeah.
a Loner Skink and probably a Wizard.
Yeah.
But like 65 blocks from the Orcs, got 12 armor breaks, 3 KOs, 3 Kaz. 42 blocks from the Lizards, got 8 armor breaks, 2 Kaz. But the Orcs suffered 5 Kaz, so Fowls and Helmet went off, I guess.
I would never choose
No.
Wizards to win
So
this.
like you can't blame me for being like, no, we just picked Orcs.
No.
But
He has so much stand for. He has Blodge Firm twice, actually. He has a lot of stand firm, guard.
he has 2 strength.
Everything almost.
He has 2
everything
strength
has
5
block,
black orcs and a troll. He can have an LOS of strength 5 if he wants to.
Yeah.
He's got an Agi movement lineman, another movement lineman, another Agi lineman. Well, he had another movement lineman. He's dead now. But like, man, Helmet just went nuts in this game, I would imagine, before getting injured, because or Fowls, I guess, but without a dirty player, it would be really hard to get good fouls against this Orc team. So Helmet just like chopping these Orcs down, and then Spoopy taking advantage of that. Wow.
He took 5 Kaz.
Yeah, he took. Yeah, so the Orcs took 5 Kaz, but the only 2 of those were caused by the Lizards blocking, right? Because there's 2 inflicted Kaz from the Lizards. So there's 3 Kaz that came from either Helmet, Fowls, or the Orcs like dodging or failing GFIs and hurting themselves.
I hope it was Helmet. I think it's funny when Helmet pops off and just.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he
everything.
did, frankly. And then the Lizards 1-2-0 because Helmet chainsawed a bunch of Orcs to death. Good lord. Good lord.
Glorious.
All right, so after that game, this is what that leaderboard looks like for 2A. So, yeah, Blotch Step Line Orc. What is that? That whole team is, what is that? The Orc team. So after that week, we've got 4 teams tied at 17 points for first. Div 2A is super tight. Superfed, Fiction, well, it's Superfed, Fiction, Big Chuck, 2 Awesome are right at 17 points, all 5-2-1, and a lot of them have played each other already as well, and like have traded wins around. So it's quite a tight division. And then Luminous was up there in the top 4 for a bit, and then he's lost, I think, the last 2 games. So now he's at 4-1-3, tied down in 5th with Average Joe's Gym with 13 points. But so we're getting to the point where that's starting to get kind of out of contention, because you're now a win and a draw behind the teams above you, and you don't have that many games left. Although it depends on if you play, if you have any of the matches against them coming up. Or like you could get a pretty big swing if you beat. So he's playing Average Joe's Gym later this season. He's playing Big Chuck later this season, and he still has to play Fiction. So he could easily get a couple point swing when he plays the teams that are above him. But we've got, sort of 6 teams kind of in the race theoretically at this point, I'd say. And then Yayo and Down are starting to become more difficult.
That Orc loss
It
is
is,
huge. Once you put it in perspective, even the touchdown differential, like not losing by 1 but losing by 2, that's probably going to come back and bite him.
Yep, because he's now especially with teams like so the Yeah, Skaven.
Superfed.
Skaven have a huge TD differential, and that's only going to get worse. Right? Like they're all tied for points. He's only in third right now because he lost that game 3-0. Right? If that was a 1-0, he'd still be in third. And if he tied that or won that, Fiction wouldn't have 17 points. So they would. Like, that was a really big result, frankly, for the. Or sorry, not Fiction. I mean, if he had tied or won that, he'd be ahead of everybody else because he lost to the Lizards that are in 12th right now.
Him losing makes it fun.
Yeah,
though.
so it's really tight division. According to Big Chuck, 2 Awesome has to play Fiction still and has to play Superfed still, but everybody else in the top 4 have played each other. Luminous has to play Fiction as well. So there's a like Superfed has and Big Chuck are probably the most solidified there, I think, because they've played most of everyone else already. But yeah, super tight division in these. Superfed should be used to this by now. I think 2 seasons ago when he was playing his Kislev, he was in like a Div 5, I think, one of the ones that only had 1 playoff spot, and was in like this weird shootout contest with Rex Longbone, where they were both like 11, 1, and 0 or something, and had like touchdown differentials of like 30. Right? It was insane, and they were just like trying to win games by insane margins because they were competing with each other, and the only thing that was going to change the record was the touchdown differential. So there were games that were like 4-1, 5-2, and they were all going like crazy just trying to get stupid touchdown differentials. So Superfed is very much used to being in this position, but he's in it again. I hope you enjoy it because you're stuck there again.
I remember that season. I think it was a
yeah, it was his
team, wasn't it?
Kislev team.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's now the Rats. Oh, Razzlestorm, sorry. Why did I think Rex? No, it was Razzlestorm. A different Skaven coach. Well, speaking of Superfed, here is the Dreams of Golden Streams. It's a Skaven team. There are 4 Gutter Runners, 2 Blitzers, and then Loner Line Rats. Because that's all that really matters. But he's got, the movement 10 Sprint Gutter Runner, because you get that for free, apparently, when you play Skaven.
I don't get it. I don't understand how they get movement like every
yeah. Well,
it's like every time. I never see like a rat team that doesn't have it.
I mean,
it
well, because once they get it, they stay alive forever. Like, it's probably a little confirmation bias, right? Once you get one, you protect them at all costs. So like the teams that do get one have one forever. So you see it all the time. And the ones that don't get one,
but
you don't really notice.
Just for reference, my team has never rolled a plus movement. So like he gets plus movement on the first level up.
I've rolled plus movement exactly 1 time on my Nurgle team. It was on a Pestigore, and he died 1 game later. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's like it dangled it.
It was his first level too. It was like, oh, he gets. I was trying to build it. I was trying to build a new ball carrier, and it was like, ooh, plus movement. This is going to be really greedy. Like, what I should probably do is just take block or sure hands, and he'll get more levels later. But how good would he be if I managed to level him up from this point? I'm going to take plus movement and be greedy, and then he just died. And I was like, well, that's what I deserve.
You get killed by a boat down.
I don't remember. This was like forever ago. Like 4 seasons ago. But he finally has Claw. Amy Brooke has Claw. Doesn't have Mighty Blow, but that'll come eventually. You just take Claw and you get it.
Yeah.
There's the 2 heads wrestle tackle Gutter Runner. There's the strip ball Gutter Runner. There's the leaping ball recovery Gutter Runner. He's movement 8, but who cares when you have the movement 10 1-turner? It's a rat team. The only thing this rat team wants is Mighty Blow. Like, if you could take that Claw and just put it on proxy page instead, then you'd just be like, cool, this team is done. But so a little bit to go, but not much. Fiction, Brick and Mortary, I mean, like you said, this Orc team is pretty incredible. It's very efficient, right? Block guard, block guard, block guard, block Mighty Blow, block Mighty Blow piling on, block guard, the one good like strength frenzy piece, an annoying diving tackle piece, a thrower for sure hands, a dirty player lineman, and done. Like, very efficient Orc team, everything you want. Other than a goblin. Damn it. You've got a troll and no goblin. Come on, man. Throw some goblins. Have fun.
Has he ever had a goblin?
I don't know.
Let's see. Yeah, he has. He's done it once. Looks like he fired him because he's not there's no injuries or anything.
Yeah, like it's very efficient. He got a ton of SPP on this strength 4 guy last game, and he leveled up to get break tackle, which I think makes a lot of sense being strength 4. The other option, maybe you could have considered stand firm, because he's going to be doing a lot of blitzing and that saves him from getting counter surfed, but break tackle is also a very useful piece, like a very useful thing there to have the like frenzy tackle strength 4 blitz and not be tied up as a safety.
It gives him mobility,
more safety. Like you can use him as a very good safety, and he's not likely to get tied up by a rando zombie or whatever. It's very good, very efficient and super nice. Be annoying to play against. Big Chuck's Clicheos are a chaos team that somehow is still alive. They lost their ball carrier. They lost their agi piece recently. It's not very happy. We do have the movement 7 killer, which is pretty nice. Couple other mighty blow lying around. Lack of guard is probably going to be annoying, especially next game where we only have the 2 because air is MNG'd.
Yeah, this div isn't too.
No, there's a couple big orc teams, and that's about it. And I think he's already played them, so he's not too worried about that. A lot of claw mighty blow. Like there's what 4. So even without much else, that can win you games against armor 9 teams.
We'll have to see what he's playing
the next step is to rebuild a ball carrier. So pick a beastman and start over. Enjoy.
Mea culpa. There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect name.
He's got the head start with 1 SPP over the over Legend in his own mind and read between the lines. That's a head start. Got to take advantage of the head start where you can get it.
Just some vanity passes.
The meanest, greenest boy is the most disgusting orc team in the universe. Although they lost their movement lineman, but no,
doesn't matter.
There are 2 strength. There are 2 strength 5 black orcs in this team. There's a strength 4 movement 6, or sorry, agi 4 movement 6 line orc with blodge step.
Okay.
Like the too awesome has just embraced the nonsense that this team is. Like he rolled another plus agi on challenge Green Boy Esquire, and everyone was like, "You don't really need that. Like it doesn't do anything. You should probably just take like block or dirty player." And he was like, "Nah," just took agi, just because he wants to show off how stupid the team is and like how he keeps rolling stats. So he took it.
Well, he could get 2 sacrificial Green Boys.
Right?
And the only way to get 2 of them.
That's true.
Getting agi.
But it's such an annoying like front line. Like just here's a strength 5 block guard stand firm, strength 5 block, strength 5 guard, like strength 4 blodge firm, strength 4 block stand firm mighty blow guard. The like typical orc blitzer, but also has dodge. There isn't a player on this team. No, there's 2 players on this team that have levels that aren't like a stat or a double or something. Like it's pretty insane.
It's a troll and the blitzer. That's it.
Not much. Oh, there's the other blitzer who's got like just regular skills too. Mighty blow, piling on, tackle, dauntless.
He's just a basic killer.
Just basic. Man, there's just so much on this team. It's insane. And he's doing really well with it as well. Where is next? Luminous' Vampires, the Growing Governors. I mean, it's a vampire team. There's a bunch of thralls. Some of them have wrestle. One of them has kick to be useful. One of them has leader to just, have an extra reroll for a little bit. One of them has guard because you don't pass up guard.
Yeah.
And then vampires. They're good vampires though.
Yeah, when all 4 are on the field,
it is.
This is a great team. So
yeah, that's the only when he loses players, like that's pretty like he's won all of his games this season except for the ones where he's gone down players too quickly, frankly. and that's like the crux of vampire teams, right? Like if you lose your gas and the thralls, then you can't accomplish much. If you lose your vampires, then what are the thralls going to do?
You just have those games where you just implode.
And vampires do that, sadly, and that's probably why they're not a tier 1 team. But moving 7, strength 5, Blodge, Frenzy, Mighty Blow, Juggernaut, like Blitzer one. There's the Grab one.
It's pretty good.
And there's the plus movement Blodge step one. A lot of all the reliability skills, right? They all have Blodge. 2 of them have Pro. Like we can reroll a lot of stuff for free here, so he can be pretty aggressive with like rerolling Bloodlusts or whatever if he needs to, especially with the leader, which is really nice. And all the Vamps are like relatively even SPP, other than Emmanuel and Macaron. And they're all on their way to Legend too, so it'll be exciting to see like a Legend Vamp when that happens. Average Joe's Gym, the High Elves. I mean, they're relatively generic High Elves. I mean, there's a couple levels here. 2 guard, 1 on a blitzer, 1 on a lineman is amazing on Elves. And there's a Mighty Blow catcher, which is really nice to have as a first level, because you just know right away, well, cool, he gets to be my blitzer. Because high elves are the strength 3 catcher team, so the catchers don't really have to be catchers. I can do whatever.
8 movement.
8, 3, 4, 7 is an incredible stat line.
Yeah.
So he rolled Mighty Blow first, and he was like, cool, he gets to be my blitzer. Block, tackle, dodge afterwards. Another catcher is Sacker, Wrestle, Tackle. We've got a Wrestle, Leap. There's a plus movement to help with some like 1 turns. Blitzer is just standard levels, and then we got a free guard. Thrower doesn't have much yet, but so it's a good high elf team. Nothing super unfair yet, but it has the makings of an unfair team, if you know what I mean.
It's the only catch is that guy has, ironically, the only catch is that guy has Niggle. So he's 1 bad block away from.
And if you roll doubles again, like you really want to take Piling On, but Niggled Piling On armor 7 is the scariest thing in the world.
That's a good point too. That kind of prohibits him.
It's a solid elf team, and if there's a couple more, like it has the makings of an unfair elf team, right? Because we got the Mighty Blow early, we got the movement early, we got some guard early, but it's not leveled enough to be unfair yet. But it could.
There's no Agi 5.
Yeah, exactly. It could be. It has the makings of an unfair team and could be unfair by the end of the season, but it's not unfair yet.
Yeah, if it gets 1 good stat up, it's fine.
Yield guard and some Nurgle, Yayo. Standard beast progression. Guard, stand firm, grab. I mean, grab, maybe. Some people would take break tackle there instead, but really it's guard, stand firm. The warriors look like pretty typical warriors, other than 2 of them have gotten dodge. I'm surprised he took claw on Lord Doggo, frankly, as like blodge firm guard would be pretty amazing there. And you could always take claws, like the legend skill, just to even utilize that guard more. Like if people try to knock or punch your blodge firm guard piece out of the way so they can get their own block, you just stand firm and then hit them back with Claw Mighty Blow.
He's also niggled, so I don't know when he got niggled, but I agree that I think blodge firm would probably be way more annoying.
Claw first on Scourge is interesting as well, because most of the time you would just take Mighty Blow first there, unless you're playing a lot of armor 9, which he may have been.
A lot of lizards.
That's true, yeah.
In this, and orcs.
Yeah, so the Nurgle warriors are like good, but like slightly awkward, I think, and they'll be really good in like 1 or 2 levels. Like the Undying, if he got stand firm, Scourge when he gets Mighty Blow, then like bam, that's a huge like Nurgle warrior core. That's pretty excellent. Killer Pestigore, Ball Carrier Pestigore, Killer Pestigore. Yeah, that's one thing this team really has going for it, is their 2 guard rotters, which, despite Nurgle having 9 positionals that can all take strength access, you don't often get that much guard for how much that can be, because you can't really afford to take it on the Pestigores. Like one of them has to be the Ball Carrier, one of them has to be the Killer, The Nurgle warriors all want to take block and mighty blow first, probably. The Beast of Nurgle gets guard, but you know, a big guy with guard is only so useful. It's kind of hard to get him into useful position sometimes. So like a Nurgle team is a team that can take a lot of guard that often doesn't have a lot of guard. So like the free Rotter guard is really handy.
Yeah, that's going to give him a lot of staying power versus those orc teams.
One of the, like I said,
who otherwise, would smash you down. Yeah, just with guard.
Exactly. Guard spam is really hard for some Nurgle teams to deal with, and he can counteract that a bit with some free Rotter guard. Jimmy Burrito, thick, rich, and creamy. Necro. The Flesh Golem is still around. Havarni Mikifardi. He's been around forever. He's a very good Flesh Golem. Paris Stilton. Didn't we lost Werewolf recently, right? On this team. I think so.
Looks like it.
But we have Paris Stilton, who's a great werewolf still. There's the jump up ahead of Mighty Blow that we talked about. Rookie werewolf, relatively rookie Flesh Golem, guard white, another guard white. I mean, this team is pretty much a werewolf and a Flesh Golem at this point.
Yeah.
It's a good werewolf and it's a good Flesh Golem, but that's most of the team, frankly.
I guess the ghoul's carrying the ball
right now, or the rookie werewolf will probably do some as well.
Yeah, it's pretty beat up. Also, what's the deal with Necro teams not?
I don't know, but I'm really glad that bothers you too, because it drives me crazy.
Yeah, like every Necro team we've looked at has just been like
I've been on Travel Scrabble's case for like 3 seasons because I've been recapping Div 1 and 2 for a while about not ordering his team, and like I've mentioned it in every recap for like 3 seasons. And then when we played last season, he organized his team specifically right before we played, just as a special treat for me, and then unorganized it again after the game was over. I'm not even joking. That's a real thing that happened. Yeah, he organized it, played my game, and then unorganized it.
Those cyanide servers don't handle the roster.
Spoony Bard, Darkelves. This is a pretty good Dark Elf team. It's kind of the like Arkangel of Dark Elf teams in that there's a bunch of good players and then a bunch of loners. But 1, 2, 3 guard. Grab on a blitzer is kind of hilarious.
That blodge step guard is
blodge step guard diving tackle. Blodge step guard tackle, and
his blitzer is
strength 4 mighty blow tackle blodge step. Gross. Yeah. The witch elves are not bad either. I mean, one of them is pretty standard. And the other one got lucky and got Juggernaut. So wrestle Juggernaut plus movement frenzy is annoying. So then that movement 8 combined with the all the guard and the grab blitzer makes one turning not terribly difficult either.
No.
Yeah, so those are really nice to have. But he's got a bunch of really good players and then, loners because everyone is dying. But the team is incredible for now. But I'd be worried about the couple niggles. Although the runner is pretty replaceable, frankly, but like and everything else is in really good shape, and I would hate to play this Dark Elf team, frankly. Like I really would not want to play them. Yeah. Bring out your undead, Rand. It's a Khemri team. It's a Khemri team whose SPP is all on skeletons.
Yeah. We have some guys die this season.
He's been replacing Tomb Guardians forever. But even at the start of the season, like that one Tomb Guardian eats everything. He's gotten I can't see the result there, but he's like all the SPPs on that one Tomb Guardian. He just very recently got Mighty Blow on that second one, which is nice because finally he'll start accelerating. Like they're so slow to level until you get that first Mighty Blow, and then they can get going. As they're not likely doing a lot of blitzing, they're not going to be scoring, so you got to get SPP off MVPs and random Kaz, and those random Kaz are way easier with Mighty Blow.
I mean, it's a pretty rough team, to be honest, with the Tomb Guardian. So
yeah, like the
barren.
Tomb Guardians are such a big part of a Khemri team, and those
Yeah.
Tomb Guardians have nothing. The Blitzraw is a standard Blitzraw, but that's good. You know, Mighty Blow piling on Juggernaut. And the Throw Raw is a really nice Throw Raw, like movement 8. Blodge Fend is hilarious.
It's so
I know.
fast for a
The one thing
skeleton.
you do have to be careful though is that he's literally twice as fast as the Tomb Guardians, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to be very, very easy to potato too hard with that throw raw and get out of range of the rest of your team. So it can almost be hard to utilize that movement effectively, but it's really, really good in the cases where it matters. You know, like it can be hard to utilize it effectively all the time, but when you like need to score on turn 16, you're going to be super glad you have that movement 8 throw raw.
Yeah, it's the thing about these skill ups is it kind of breaks the balance of these teams. So with like a Khemri team, the expectation is, oh, if I keep him such movement away from the end zone, then he's not going to score. But then you have a piece like this, it's like, oh, great, he's like a skate, basically. So I have to play tighter defense to stop him from scoring. But the Tomb Guardians,
it opens up some interesting play options, both for the Khemri player and for the people playing against him. Like you can almost try to tempt him to move too far forward because he can outrun his team really easily. But you have to balance that because you don't want to give him an easy score because Khemri often have a hard time scoring, and you don't want to give that to them, you know. And it gives him some fun options where he can like all he has to really do is play ultra defensive. And then move forward like 4 squares, which shouldn't be too hard to do. And then suddenly he's in scoring range whenever he wants, and your opponent has to play very differently than they would against another Khemri team. Yeah. So it's kind of fun. But it's weird, you know. It's a weird Khemri team, but it's really fun. We have Secret Lizard Overlords, Spoopy Mulder's lizard team that is trying to become lizards again. Frankly, I mean, there's a Bloxagor.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But there's 4 Saurus, there's 2 Rookie Saurus. One of them is only 1 SPP away, but there's 2 Skinks. But
honestly, that's a nice
it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's just
it was way worse at the start of the season. He's been building it back up, and I think all it really needs is those 2 Saurus need block.
Yeah,
and because right now you want to hit stuff with Saurus. And you're going to burn through rerolls 1 in 9ing with those Saurus, frankly.
Yep. I think just stays away from Claw for a couple games.
And the Skink, movement 9, sprint Surefeed Skink with sidestep is 1 push from 1 turning, right? Like, and that's a very easy push to get with sidestep. Diving Tackle, Blodge Step Skink is very annoying defensively, but those are your only 2 Skinks. So the other ones are going to be loners, and if you ever do lose one of those skinks, you're now having to do a lot of your work with loner skinks, which can be a little scary. The skinks, like, frankly, eat rerolls, right? Like, they don't really get sure hands, so they're going to have to pick up the ball. You know, they're often going to be doing like stunty dodges and stuff because you can't really hand off super well because stunty is a thing, or you can't really pass super well, I should say. So it can be.
You just have to play conservatively for a while.
It's a really good. He's been recovering really well, and I think this team would be a very annoying team to play in approximately 7 SPP. Right, like those 2 Saurus with block, and you're probably very happy. And
you probably get 1 more skink as a backup.
The next lizard team is Charlestown Chiefs, who look slightly worse.
Yeah, this one. I mean, it has a Bloxagor.
It does. It has good. 6 Saurus. Only 1 of them doesn't have block, but it also only has 1 tackle. It only has 2 guard. One of the Saurus is AV8. One of the Saurus is movement 5. And it's your best Saurus.
It's not
too
bad.
Once again, it's rebuilding, and it was worse before. But I think this team needs another guard at minimum.
Yeah. Well, I think it has the same amount of guard.
The
as
other team
last
had more.
Let me check.
Oh, they both have 3.
Both
Okay,
have
well,
3.
the last team needs more guard too.
But it's really unfortunate on the one Chuck. Like so early in development, because you
you
just
can't get rid of that Saurus. He's a block Saurus. You don't want to go down to 2 rookies. But you could replace him once you get Jack Hansen to block, but then you're in the exact same position you were before, where you have a rookie Saurus with no block. So it's a hard choice.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe another tackle could be nice too. We have 1 right now. And the skinks are fine. They're very standard skinks, sidestep, sprint, sure feet. Not a lot of wasted SPP there, which is really nice. So TV there, I should say. So, pretty lean lizard team, frankly. And that can be good because we can get Slibbly, and Slibbly is really good. But yeah, another block, another guard would probably do this team a lot of good.
Yeah, again, he just needs to avoid smash.
And here's
teams.
The Fogmire Fenbeasts. The plus arm, my favorite player in the universe, who is the plus movement or the plus armor busted, movement busted Saurus. For taking
get
armor busted, yeah.
I've seen that happen.
He's also Blodge, guard, mighty blow. There's 2 Blodge Saurus. Tredge, having played this team, this team is what kept me out of the playoffs last season. I needed to beat him, and I didn't beat him because Tredge, the Blodge Step Break Tackle Strength 5 Saurus, was such a nightmare for me. Considering, remember, I have no tackle on my team, so trying to knock down a Blodge Step Strength 5 Saurus who can just like break tackle away from the Rotters who mark him up with was such a fucking nightmare.
That's such a weird piece. I had to take forever to level up. They both started with dodge too.
So long.
Oh man. It paid off though.
And one of 2 Frenzy Saurus. There's 2 of them. That's how he gets so many blocks. He often just blocks teams into oblivion. Like, it turns out you will get removals when you roll 80 blocks a game. Like dice are a distribution. You have to get armor breaks at some point.
I like that concept, actually. Putting frenzy on.
It's with enough guard, and they're all strength 4. They're movement 6. Yeah. It's pretty easy to not frenzy trap yourself, and then you just get more blocks.
Because it's one of those skills that's like you have more of it, kind of like Norse. You have more of it. So you just keep throwing, you just keep spamming it, basically, and just block the crap out of your opponent.
And it's a game of numbers, right? When it's not too hard to not frenzy trap yourself with strength 4, and then when you roll twice as many blocks, you should theoretically get more armor breaks, and then you get a player advantage, and then you win games.
So
it's fun, I like it. There's some really fun things on it. 1 rookie source.
Agi4
Stunty is gross.
Yeah, that's pretty busted.
2+ dodges anywhere. Yeah.
I hate it.
At least it's not terribly speedy yet, because it doesn't have plus movement, but and the dirty player skink for some reason, which I also don't like. And then last,
I mean, it fits the name.
That's true. So lastly, we have Orevert, the Cogs of War, the Death Roller-less Death Roller team, which makes it kind of sad. We have 1 guard on a dwarf team, which frankly is terrible. It's going to be hard to win. Almost all of your SPP is on your 2 runners, and those 2 runners, one of them has accurate and one of them has pass, which I think is really funny.
Oh, you're right.
But accurate and pass are on the 2 different runners, right? It's not like
he could have took catch on him.
It's not like he built 1 passing runner. He built 2 separate passing runners with different skills, and I don't understand why. But the standard runner skills that are on that runner, like block, dodge, kick off, return, pro, fend, make him like annoying as a dwarf runner. However, he's armor 7, which is a little rough and niggled. Like he's a huge target for your opponents.
Yeah. And the other one's movement busted.
Yeah.
It's movement.
I mean, this team was fun until the Death Roller died, and now it doesn't really work the way it was designed because it doesn't have the Death Roller anymore.
Yeah, rip the heart out of the team.
Yeah, the Troll Slayers are getting back up there. They're both agi busted, but who cares? A couple games ago, neither of them had any levels, so he's like starting to getting something over there. I mean, I think the first Troll Slayer had tackle, but or they had tackle, but they didn't have like the Mighty Blow yet. So they're on their way back. One Blodge Blitzer. Really what this team needs is guard. Like those blockers need to level and they need to get guard. And until that happens, it's going to be hard to win games, frankly. Because you're just going to get separated and not be able to do anything about it because all your players are Agi 2 and Movement 4.
In this division, with all this Lizard and Orc setups, yeah, this
you're going to be outstrengthed by every team in the division, and there's not
from
you'll
turn
be
one,
outstrengthed, outmovemented. Like there's going to be nothing you can do for most of the game.
And you're slower than most.
It's you need to get a whole bunch of guard so that your dwarves can stay together and start supporting each other. But until then, it's going to be really hard for them to do anything together, and the dwarves are kind of weak on their own because they're so slow. That they won't, and just strength 3 that they'll get bullied pretty severely. Okay, so predictions for this week, I guess. Now that we've looked at those teams, we can do this. So first we have Superfed versus Duberman. We have Average Joe's Gym, the High Elves, and Superfed's Rats. I'm gonna start writing down some things in my notes.
So I'll let you choose first.
Well, Superfed gets a wizard, but that's about it. Probably, are we in his stadium? We are, because he's first, so he could also get like Fez or whatever, like some sort of cheap star player. Proxy Page is going to be good against those elves. The Claw, we don't have Claw, and they are armor 8 being high elves. But the tackle is useful. I think what it comes down to for me is there isn't a Sure Hands on the High Elf team, and they're not necessarily likely to, like, High Elves aren't likely to have Sure Hands anyway, but strip ball, wrestle tackle, 2 heads, plus a wizard, it shouldn't be too hard to just outscore the elves. Like I would be very unsurprised if this was like a 3-2 game or something kind of thing, like for the Rats.
I think if the High Elves lose like 1 or 2 players, they're in a really bad spot.
And they're likely to with that Mighty Blow piling on tackle blitzer. Like it shouldn't be hard for Superfed to get 1 or 2 removals.
So
I want to take the Rats. I mean, I think it's going to be like 3-2 or 4-3 or something like really close and high scoring. But I think that it shouldn't be too hard for Superfed to be on the upside of that high scoring because of the wizard and like the strip ball and that kind of thing.
Yeah, once Rats have wizard, because this isn't an uneven matchup. Like, it's not out TV'd, so hard to beat. That said, I'm gonna take the.
You can. Justin is going to. Well, okay. So the end of next week's recap, either we're going to be even on points again, or Shadora is going to be so far ahead that it's not going to matter, and it's going to be your fault. So.
I've had the opposite effect.
Well, it's going to be one of those two, right? Either you're going to tank him or you're going to put him into space, because we've predicted opposite for almost every game but one so far.
Good. Okay,
so then we have Clicheos and Thick, Rich, and Creamy. So we've got Big Chuck's Chaos, and we have Jimmy Burrito's Necro. So it's Jimmy Burrito is going to get 120, which isn't a wizard, and he also doesn't have enough to scum the wizard on top of that. So not much in terms of inducements for the Necro. I think I like Big Chuck here. I mean, there is that one werewolf that's really good, but there's a lot of Claw Mighty Blow like on Chuck's team, and just random punches is going to be like they're gonna chunk through zombies like just kind of randomly really quickly.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's like a lawnmower.
Yeah, the zombies are gonna go down, and then with the Necro really like struggle with once the zombies either start going down or getting tied up on players, it almost feels like you have way less players than you do. It's like I don't know. It's probably a little bit the same with like Brett's, but your positionals are sort of so key that it can very easily feel like you're down players, even though you're not actually, because you have stuff like peasants and zombies just sort of stuck on people not doing much.
As Brett's, you're usually down players.
That's fair.
To be honest. Those peasants don't last very long.
So I think I'll take Big Chuck on this one.
So in that case, I'll take.
Oh my god, Shador is going to kill you. Oh man. If he gets, he might get 180k. Because Big Chuck says he'll probably buy a new beast. In which case there is a wizard, which does change that dynamic a little bit. Okay, well,
yeah, you gotta be mindful of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a big deal. There's been a lot of times where I haven't bought a player yet because of the match that was coming up, or bought an extra rodder even though I didn't really want to, because I wanted to make sure that there was like an extra bench for the match that was coming up, or whatever. I've done, like, it's a big part of the game.
Yeah.
So those crazy dark elves versus the dwarves with no guard. I mean, I'm picking the Dark Elves, and I don't know what you want to say, but it should probably be the Dark Elves.
Here's the thing. So I'm gonna pick Dwarf, but I actually don't hate their chances. Of all the matchups that are available to him, this feels like the most winnable one. I mean, in a weird way. He's got
the tackle, I guess, and the Dark Elves aren't crazy fast. Yeah. But the Dark Elves outguard him by a crazy amount. Like, they also outstrength him because they have the strength blitzer.
Yeah, I mean, it's when I say it's the best matchup, I mean the best, but it doesn't mean it's good.
That's fair.
Point.
Yeah.
So I'll take
zero bench is kind of a problem, Big Chuck. Especially with that werewolf, it's going to be like. On defense in particular, it's not very hard for the Necro to get like one random Kaz because of the claw and stuff. And with zero bench, that actually could be pretty annoying if it's like an important player. So yeah, I don't hate zero bench. I'd think real carefully about that, because a wizard and a werewolf is not a great combo. Yeah. Although at least that werewolf isn't like a crazy agi wolf, right? It's just like a mighty blow one. So it's not as bad as it is on other Necro teams, because he can't really recover after the wizard particularly well. So I wouldn't dislike getting a bench even if it gives up a wizard, just because I think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages there. Then we have Brick and Mortary, Fiction's Orcs, like the really efficient Orc team, versus Fogmire Fenbeasts, that's Rolling Red's Frenzy Lizards, with 140k in inducements for the Lizards.
I'll let you choose first. I think
it's an interesting match. I'm going to go Fiction and the Orcs less on the team composition and more sort of on the meta, like Fiction is in a playoff spot and Fogmire Fenbeasts are not, so it's a lot more likely that Fiction like plays as hard than the Fogmire Fenbeasts do. The Fogmire Fenbeasts may focus a little more on development, or maybe their heart isn't in it as much because it is less important to them. And Fiction's been doing really well this season. So it's more about the sort of like coach meta level than it is about the specific teams, but also, that's a lot of guard for the Lizards to deal with.
So I'm going to choose the Lizards, of course, but I don't think honestly, I think he has a good shot.
I think he does too. I mean, he's got guard, he's got strength. The Tredge Thesaurus is annoying. The Agi Skink can always do things. But I think I'd like the guard spam. And Fiction is definitely the type of player that will recognize that there is that weird frenzy threat, and he has enough guard to make it annoying. Where Rolling Red, yeah, he might be able to set up a couple of frenzy, he might be able to position players in ways that would discourage Rolling Red from blocking at all because there'll be frenzy traps, and then he kind of loses his main advantage. Now this one will be fun. Bring out your undead versus the Charlestown Chiefs. So we have Khemri versus the Lizards. So the Lizards are getting 170, which isn't Slibly, but it is a wizard. The Khemri are the Khemri that we talked about. They have Mighty Blow, they have Tackle, but those two things only combine on one player. Otherwise it's on Wrestle, which, like, those skeletons are surprisingly annoying for skinks. Wrestle Tackle skeletons is really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rackle skeletons.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you choose
again.
first.
Oh man! So this is the problem.
Yeah, because I chose first for the most of the first one.
This one I'm less confident in. Like, I don't actually know. The other ones have been like relatively straightforward for me. I think this one is hard. So the Khemri can utilize their strength 5 pretty easily. I think in this matchup, 4 Tomb Guardians versus 6 Saurus. Not like Tomb Guardians don't really have block, but I mean one of the Saurus doesn't. The skinks aren't like unfair skinks, which is what the Khemri would be afraid of here, because the movement 8 versus, well, there's that Drora, I guess. Man, I don't know. I don't know who I want to pick here. No, I'm gonna take the Khemri, and I'm gonna hate myself next week. I'm gonna do that thing where I see my prediction next week, and then I say, why did I choose that? But I'm gonna choose that.
So...
if the Lizards aren't going to have much of a bench, we could probably get a couple random Kaz from the Mighty Blows that exist. There's enough tackle that the skinks are going to be a little worried. And I think that...
So I'm going to break the mold.
Okay.
And choose Khemri, because there's so much tackle. I don't think it's that for this particular matchup, because of the way the teams are structured. I don't think the lack of development on the Tomb Guardians is that important.
It is against most other teams, but against the Lizards, where just the strength is all that really matters, is a big deal. If you take one Tomb Guardian and put him on 2 Saurus, then that's 8 Saurus for 4 Tomb Guardians, and you will make that trade all day because you don't have 8 Saurus on the opponent's team, right? So with
also, the big thing here is that the Khemri have a huge bench, and they have multiple dirty players. So I expect him to do attrition.
Any skink that hits the floor is going to have a bony foot in its mouth.
Yep.
And like any Saurus that hits frankly, anything that hits the floor will have a bony foot in its mouth. And
with all the wrestle,
any Saurus removed is such a it's almost worse than it normally is. Like, a Saurus being removed in a normal game is pretty bad. A Saurus being removed in a game where the opponent has 4 strength 5 is a pretty big deal. So like a lot of foulings, I think, in the future of this team. Too awesome, the meanest. Ooh, okay. So we have the meanest, greenest boys, Too Awesome, the really high strength Orcs versus the one Claw Mighty Blow team in Ye Old Guards Nurgle. The Nurgle get 220, 230 TV against those Orcs. Normally I really hate inducements as Nurgle because all of your inducements suck. Frankly, you'd just much rather have more skills. Like, you'd rather have more Claw Mighty Blow players than you would like a wizard. But I don't think it's as bad versus these Orcs. I mean, Orcs hate Claw Mighty Blow. There are 3. There's 2 on this team. There's 1 random Claw. 3 and 1 random Claw. the
it's
guard.
the sheer amount of guard. Yeah.
But there are 6 on the Nurgle team because they have the 2 random rotters.
That's what I mean. Is like of all the teams to face down this orc team, this is kind of the one to do it because he can guard up with them easily, and then he has way more firepower.
13 bench versus 13 versus 13. There are only just 2, like, so you don't normally, this orc team would be like black orc troll on the LOS and be like, here's strength 5, have fun. There's enough guard on the Nurgle team that you could just engineer claw blocks on those guys without too much difficulty. So you don't want to do that, which leaves you with lineman troll as your only LOS, and if any one of those goes down on like turn 1 to a random claw block on if the Nurgle go first, suddenly you have to put good players on the line and you have no other option.
That's actually what I was thinking about a second ago, is if Nurgle win the coin toss, who exactly does the orcs put on the line?
It's lineman
defense?
Troll.
See, but if they put lineman on the line, they have to take off one of these good players.
Yeah. It's almost like a too many cooks thing. Like, there are too many good players. You don't know what to do and who has to be sacrificial here.
I mean, there's players I would fire from this team, but I'm not gonna.
Oh, I mean, I just wouldn't have taken the Agi on that lineman, but he's leaning hard into the memes, and I like it. I think I've picked the orcs every time this season because this team is gross. But I think this is the one time where I like the other team. I mean, there's a lot of guard on this team, but frankly, I think it comes down to a coin flip. Like, if the Nurgle are on offense first, they have a pretty big chance of winning this, because 3 Claw Mighty Blow hits on the LOS could just cripple the team instantly, frankly.
I agree.
And if the orcs get the KO or the drive first, then they're not likely to do a ton of damage immediately, but they'll be able to get in good positions and then not take damage for the second half, and then it won't matter anymore. Right? Like, if you lose a lineman on turn 9 just for your defensive drive, it doesn't really matter. But if you lose those linemen on turn 1 and then don't have them for the rest of the game, it's a big deal. Like, for the second setup. So whoever goes on offense, I think has a really... The Nurgle want to go on offense and snowball, and if they don't, they probably don't win, but if they do, I think they do. So I've picked the orcs like literally every time this season. I'm going to take the Nurgle, and I think a lot of it is because of those guard rotters.
Yeah. So I'll just pick orcs.
All right, well, you're going to win then, probably, because that's how my life is gone. And then lastly, we have lizards and vampires.
Interesting.
Yeah. The lizards get 160.
Oh, it's this lizard team. Oh, this is a rough match.
It is.
For lizards.
The vampires are going to do vampire things. The lizards only have 1 mighty blow or 2.
They have 1 tackle.
Yeah. One tackle for the vampires, 2 mighty blow if you include the Croxagore for trying to like chunk through the thrall fuel. Means they probably won't get through a lot of the thralls. I think the big X factor here is that movement 9 skink, because the vampires are slow. Vampires are a very slow team. There are 3 movement 7 on it though, but movement 7 is not movement 9. It's
technically movement 12.
Sprint,
because it's
sure feet.
Sprint, yeah. I mean, Lumi's pretty good, I think, about keeping his safety on defense.
Yes, he is. If this was like a random coach, I would probably consider the lizards more strongly than I am, but I think this is going to be hard for the lizards, frankly. Like, I would not want to be that lizard team playing against Luminous's vampires here, which to me indicates that I should probably pick the vampires. So I'm going to do that.
Probably should.
I'm gonna do that. I'll take the vampires.
So I'll take the lizards. They have a shot.
You always have a shot
vampires.
against vampires, frankly.
Vampires,
Yeah.
Yeah, they can implode.
If they get removals, if they remove some thralls, or if the bloodlust rolls are unlucky and they remove their own thralls or whatever, like but you can't predict that. It's not possible to be like, I predict that the vampires are going to explode this game, because you can't. If you could, you would win every game of Blood Bowl you ever play, because you know what dice are going to do.
Yeah. It's just all that blodge, and there's no response to it.
Yeah, four blodge, nothing the lizards can do about that. The vampires are not scared of the Saurus, because they have their strength 4 of their own, and they can, a couple hypnogazes here and there could like easily break open a lizard defense because of Saurus positioning being a thing.
Yeah, the cumulative effect of all the strength on the vampires plus the hypnogaze almost makes them the stronger team. In a roundabout way, if you look at it that way. But I'll choose lizards. And
that's everything. I'm going to bring us back to the title screen. We have done all our predictions. Thanks for hanging out. That was fun. It's cool to get different perspectives on things than our normal SteakDora Steakmittens opinions, because we've been doing this for so long that we kind of know what each other are going to say.
Yeah, I wanted to come in to see 2A and put some outside perspective on there.
Yeah, it's good to get it, and it's cool to show off some things that are happening in divs that you might not be paying a lot of attention to. So once again, thanks to Khalerick, sorry, for being on the show. I'm gonna end things here. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. This has been week 8. We'll be back next Wednesday for week 9, and until then, I've been Steakmittens, and he's been Khalerick. I will do your outro for you, because you're not SteakDora. And we will see you guys next time. Bye, folks.